Allison Ziggy here. Welcome to Princess Uninterrupted. Did you miss me? Because I certainly missed you. I took the longest break that I've taken in the 7 years since starting my business, and I decided I wasn't going to come back until I actually had something to say. And actually had something that was going to be valuable and had a message that was pure of heart and that I felt like was actually going to help the most amount of people. At the time of this recording, the next season that we will have will be summer. And it feels indeed like a reprieve after a long, treacherous winter. I like to think about my life in terms of the seasons. While we would love for everything to be summer all the time, where it's light and buoyant and fun and filled with things in my own life. And if you're listening to this probably in your life, you might find that it's not summer all the time. And that maybe you have to go through a cold, dark winter in order to get to the summer that you've been manifesting. And this is what life has presented me with. And I finally feel like I'm approaching my season of spring, summer. But I was in a few years long winter. So this episode, I guess, is about transitioning from the winter season of life into something more closely resembling spring or summer. This has always been the core message on my heart about this download when I got my business, just about alignment with the seasons, mindfulness, becoming more attuned to yourself versus everything that is externally coming from you. And most importantly, coming back from any setback that life sends your way. And over the past 2 years, I faced some of the hardest challenges of my entire life, namely financially. I left corporate tech. It wasn't until recently that I started saying I lost my job, and I got better reactions then. I left and decided to start my business, which was true, but my nervous system was not equipped to handle that level of pressure, and for whatever reason, my life collapsed. And I keep saying, losses of biblical proportions. I feel like I lost every possession that I had, every piece of furniture. When I do start over and get my own place, I'm just going to completely start fresh. It's a completely new energy. But that was really hard to go through. And when I was going through it, I was really just overworking and trying to build a new life as quickly as possible to offset the losses. If you're anything like me and you believe in manifestation and you believe that you create your reality, sometimes we want to skip over this step of winter where it's actually the grieving and the death process of what once was. And it feels like sometimes it's celebrated more to just, I'm fine. It didn't matter. It's okay. This is what I wanted anyway. And it wasn't. Excuse me. My throat has been clearing out. But yeah, no, that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to stay in New York and I didn't. I couldn't make it work financially. And I invested everything I had into this venture. But what had happened is that it put me into this place of scarcity where I needed the business to work. Otherwise, everything about me was wrong and bad, and I made a mistake and I should have gone back. And it wasn't until very recently that I just reclaimed all my power back from that narrative. And I said, you know what? No, I refuse to create another thing from my business if it's not pure of heart and pure intended. I refuse to recreate these overworking patterns. I refuse to look at my results and let them mean anything about me negatively or positively. And I refuse to create anything else unless it is pure of heart to help other people. And that may seem like, weren't you doing that already? Yes, I was, but it had to come from a different energy where I had to learn how to survive without Allison Ziggy being my sole focus. And I had to learn how to break out of this scarcity pattern, and I had to get really clear on what I wanted to actually help people with and through. There's so many different modalities and resources, and I just had pushed so hard where it pushed me and it snapped back. You have the slingshot, but it the rubber band slapped back and hit me, and I prayed harder than I've prayed in my entire life. And I just like lost it. Like I was just in my journal praying and I was just like, this feels so painful. I don't know how to get through this situation. Help me. I prayed. And it was in a meditation where actually I did see like ascended master energy. The being who helped me was Jesus. And I just felt this like clearing. And after that meditation, where I had been so stressed, like, because I had taxes to pay, I wanted to go to the dentist, like, all these things that were above, like, just day-to-day life, where for the past year, I feel like I have just gotten by exactly with what I needed, like, not a dollar more, and I suddenly needed these things. I needed to take care of myself in new ways, and I prayed, had this, like, magical meditation experience. And the second I got back, I got offered a gig. And I was like, that's crazy. And more money came in. And then things started to actually like flow in. Where the past few years, it had just been a struggle for every dollar. And coming from someone who was successful financially early on without even really having to think about it, it was one of the biggest blows to my ego. Like I just felt so behind in life. I looked at everyone around me and they were all like not only married, but like having families. And I felt like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like single, not where I want to be financially. I can't even think about dating until I stabilize. I looked at my surroundings and I was just like, man, how did we get here when this was the opposite of what I teach, what I want? And it felt like a heartbreak on the deepest degree. Like it just felt so... I was just surrendered though. I was like, I'll do whatever. Or no, I stopped being willing to do whatever. And I was just like, I was surrendered to a higher power, honestly. I was just like, whatever I'm supposed to do. If I'm supposed to get a job, I'll do it. If I'm not supposed to do the business, like rip the desire from my heart, please. I'm done forcing my will. And I was done just trying so hard for nothing. And it wasn't nothing. I don't want to minimize like the results that I've gotten up until this point, but it was just like struggling to continue to reinforce that I wasn't good enough. It was like the results were never what I needed them to be to feel like I could breathe. So I like completely just let go. And then as soon as I had enough money where I like didn't need to do anything, I'm like, let me just actually take this time and not do anything. Like I don't need this to do anything to survive. Let me just rest. And I did. And then actually, ironically, that was when my closet clean out business came through and I started making more money than I had been before. It was like I had been working so hard to get clients and stuff. And then this shifted and it like became so much easier when I stopped trying so hard. And so I was like, huh. And then I kept getting like these invitations to do really cool things. It was weird. It was like as soon as I stopped trying, all these things started flowing through in my business and like in my life, where I got to go on a really amazing trip upstate New York. And the person who owns the house, she was like, why don't you do a retreat here? And I was like, this would be the perfect place for a retreat. So like that came through. It's an outside idea. I met someone who was the original like student of human design, and he met me in New York and he like gave me information on my chart. I was like, it like clicked in a new way, where I like really learned a valuable piece of information that changed my life. Just like based on my chart, he said basically like your mind is not for solving your problems, your mind is for helping the collective. And I was like, that makes so much sense. So like every time my mind tries to fix my life, I'm like, no, we don't need to do that. And then it led me to the conclusion of like thinking about your problems never actually solves your problems. I think that's applicable to anybody. It's like this level of consciousness that your problem exists probably can't be solved by just thinking about it on the same level. You know, you're like too close to it. So that was a pretty big breakthrough. I had a pretty incredible opportunity come up for the summer. That had happened before, but like it felt like everything just started to unflow. I got invited to read my writing in Boston. Like all these things. I got invited to do a house cleanse. Like it was like as soon as I stopped trying, all these things could meet me. Like, I wasn't running so fast that I was able to just sit and they were able to come meet me. And the money continued to flow through in really aligned ways. And it's been a hard lesson because sometimes I'm like, am I just doing nothing? And it's coming and it's working. That's so weird. But what if that is actually the key? Especially if I'm oldest daughter, divorced parents, Aries. Like, I have no problem, like, brute force and effort when needed. But I felt like this lesson of just surrendering to the void. And the void is when your old identity, your old behaviors stop working and you need to kind of adopt a new strategy in order to get to where you want to go. It made me feel so much better in my life and in my body. And it was like I stopped viewing anything as wrong. Like, it was so weird. The thoughts that I used to have came up and I was like, these don't have the same polarized charge that they used to. So if you feel like you're in a winter season of life and you want to get to this spring season, you don't get to it through effort. Like, you can plant all the seeds that you want in winter, but they're going to die because it's not the right time. And you can internalize that, but that's the nature of the loss. And everybody goes through loss in some capacity in their lives, whether it's losing someone or something, or the loss of a dream, or things not going the way that you want them to go. But one of my favorite life philosophies is that when you experience these losses, it's helping you to become the version of yourself who actually gets to have the things that you want. And I look at the financial losses that I've experienced through perceiving this. And I want to use losses in air quotes because I truly look at these past few years as an investment in my life. And I believe that I've been healing a lot of generational cycles and patterns. I look at kind of the generations above me and I'm like, I don't think I ever would have broken through this if I didn't have to. And I just look at any adversity that you face, any challenges that you face, anything that doesn't go your way can always be used for good. And I mean, look at my entire first book. It's about like a weed-induced manic episode misdiagnosis that turned into finding an entirely new way to live life. And you know, sometimes my mind would really look back and be like, none of that should have happened and whatever. One of my favorite things was like, if you erase your mistakes, you erase you. But also sometimes I think you just have to make the most of what life gives to you, and that's where the manifestation happens. It's not like you suddenly write down the thing in your journal enough times and you unlocked the secret code and now good things are going to come. It's kind of like conditioning your brain to see the good even when things are awful. And then realizing like whenever they are really good, those bad times are what allow you to truly receive the blessings. And also letting things be bad when they're bad. One of my teachers was like, sometimes you just have to play crack house. Sometimes like you just have to like let things be what they are and just be bad and just be like, you know what, it's okay. This doesn't define me. This isn't like fundamentally who I am or what I'm capable of. But sometimes like let the bad times be bad. Just like let winter be winter, you know? I think that was like the biggest lesson from this life was it's like, it's not that you're doing anything wrong that you're experiencing this. It's just this is part of the path. Like 90% of businesses fail the first rendition. And, you know, I'm still incorporated under the same LLC, but I will say this has taken a really long time to sprout. But a business is something you'll have for the rest of your life. So if you're on this journey and you're like trying, or you're working a job and you're like, I hate this and I want to leave, and maybe you're like, it's okay, I just know that I could be doing more. Like, let the seasons pass. Like, don't force your life. You're gonna look back and feel like it happened so fast, even if in the moments of the day-to-day it feels like it's taking forever. And I attribute one of my biggest reasons that I've experienced this huge shift and I've become this new version of myself who is so much more solid and grounded and has everything she needs like is doing this genuinely from pureness of heart with zero expectations, because I know what I have a gift to give. I know what the world needs. I'm seeing people making content on things specifically that I've struggled with, and I'm like, man, I really need to get this out there so that people aren't making these mistakes and like prolonging this. The one was a financial mistake that I saw, and the other one was a girl who had like weed-induced psychosis and was talking about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am being cold. Like I am being cold. Like I was like grateful though, because I had been a little bit like this week especially, I was like, I just want to have like something to say again, please. It's been meditation for me. Like 100% my daily habits have contributed to this breakthrough, and I wanted to create something to share with you so that we could share these daily habits so that you have access to resources to do this every day. So I created a Best Day Ever membership where it's, again, with the meditations and like journaling resources, and we have community, and we'll meet on the first of every month. I made it pretty affordable as well. So it's similar to the planning program. It's just a little bit of a like daily practice in addition to the seasonal journals. So I'm going to include links to that. But with my own meditation practice, it's really brought me home to me. It's really brought me home to me. Meditation every single day has been like the biggest thing for me. And journaling sometimes when I feel called, but not necessarily every day. But having this daily commitment to self, daily practice, that's all that I've needed during this time. Like as long as I'm doing that, I feel so good with me. So those return to the daily habits has been like why I think that I finally got to this place. I mean, yes, I prayed and Jesus helped me. And I know I kind of like, you have to give credit where credit's due though. And I love prayer, and I just feel so much better with myself. I feel so much less forced. But I also am really grateful that the things that are being shown to me are still in alignment with what I always believe to be the vision of my heart. I'm just coming at it from a different energy. And in terms of like, people ask me like, are you religious? I'd say I'm spiritual. I'm spiritually connected. I believe that everything is energy. I do believe in Christ consciousness. And like, I was watching The Chosen, which was like a biblical representation. So I don't know. I'm just open to like learning about things and being open-minded and acknowledging that we really don't know anything. Whenever people ask me, I usually say I'm agnostic, just because I'm open-minded. I believe in something, but I don't know that we possess the consciousness to accurately perceive the truth of what lies above. So within, so without. I was trying before just to believe that it could all work out and like just ignore the bad, and yes, don't pay it too much mind. Like your worries, I think your worries, like don't pay those minds. Like you can deal with what you're like presently facing in your reality. Don't be in like denial, but at the same time just like let yourself feel it and it'll flow through and it won't get stuck in your body, and then you won't be attracting from that place. So the main premise of this is if you are in winter, let it be winter. But if you're ready to come into spring, you need to start finding a way to receive the messages that your higher self is trying to give to you. And for me, that felt like meditation, where I'm like every single day sitting down and like creating an antenna, like creating space where messages can flow through. And the messages don't always flow through during meditation, but it's made me so much more intuitively aligned, where I can like sit and actually perceive the information that is flowing through me. Like I can feel how it feels. I can recognize opportunities when they're there. So that's been, for me, what has unlocked everything. I do have a free meditation for you too. If you access the Printable Library, there's a Best Day Ever creative visualization, and creative visualization is one of my favorite like uses of the mind, is because then you can sit and like receive messages and think about like the ideal outcome. And it's not that you're predicting your life and it's going to happen that way per se, but it's opening yourself up to the possibility of like, what if today actually could be the best day ever? That's the whole philosophy of how I live my life. I have friends who call me and we do our dances in the morning together, and it's one of the most beautiful things I could have ever asked for. And I look at like I do like some work on the side, and one of the things that I was doing was like this Tough Mudder. It was insane. It rained all day and we were in the mud, and it was like, by all accounts, really bad. Like the one girl looked like she was gonna, she was not happy. And I was just like laughing and dancing and being so probably annoying to somebody who hates feeling good. And it wasn't even that I felt good. I was just like, this is just like funny. Like nothing's that serious. It's just ridiculous. Like I felt like I actually participated in Tough Mudder, and it was like really insane. Like what ended up happening. But it was just like, life, am I right? Like you never know where you're gonna go. And I think we just need to take all these situations with a grain of salt, because sometimes things just won't go your way, and you can internalize it and be like, I'm so bad, I should have done this. And it's like, in the scheme of your life, when you look back on a soul level, it doesn't matter. Like you would rather be, I'm telling you this, like this is me, but I'm like, I 100% with certainty will say I did that and I went for it. And yeah, for a long time it was failing, but that wasn't the ultimate outcome. And at least I don't have to go look back on my life and wonder what if. I'm still proud of what I created. I still can be remembered this way. And, you know, I hope I have lots and lots of years left, but I'm saying, like, you have to do the things that you feel called to do now. We don't know how much time we have. And if you're listening to this, you probably have a soul mission that positively impacts other people. And we look at the state of the world, but people need this work. Like, we need each other now more than ever. So that's what I felt called to say today. I love you. I'm happy you're here. Check out the Best Day Ever membership. If you need some private coaching, I'll put details for that as well. But that's what I have. And then I'm going to go have the best day ever with you.